Hello and welcome to Hot Indonesia, where we serve it up and dish it out. I'm Dalton Tanonaka in Jakarta. Here is this week's HI Hot List. Global debut. We grade President Jokowi on his international summit debuts. Go Ahok, why he's the right person to run the country's capital. And Bakso Barry continuing the U.S. president's Indonesian Connection. Here beside me just about every week is Rahayu Saraswati, Sarah. First-year Parliament member, actress, and horse whisperer. What is that? I never knew what that meant.
I missed that.
Okay.
I missed that.
And next to her is Yeni Wahid, director of the Wahid Institute, daughter of the fourth president of Indonesia, an eternal romanticist, she told me. Hot topic number one.
So it's not something he came up with.
Global debut.
No.
He looked sharp in his business suit, and he was all about business in his international debut as Indonesia's seventh president. Joko Widodo hit the global stage running, making a business pitch in English at APEC in Beijing. Then in Myanmar for the ASEAN summit, Jokowi assured member states of Indonesia's leadership role and the need for regional security. He's wrapping up his third stop this weekend in Australia at G20. You know, you had to like what you heard and saw. Very direct, very presidential, I thought.
Very no-nonsense, you know. It's very unlike President SBY, former President SBY.
You thought he was more presidential than SBY?
Not necessarily, but you know, his message is certainly very different in his approach, and he's not trying to gloss over the problems that we had in this country. I mean, he's being very, you know, very direct, no zigzagging, and then you know, using his words, and he's just trying to be honest. You know, he understands, I think, the instinct of business people,
well,
and that's what always he's trying to address.
I thought there would be less substance, actually, this short into his term. But he came out with some programs and specific business points when he did the presentation in English.
Simple English, but understandable.
Yeah. I mean, without a diplomatic drama, were you impressed? I mean, and a diplomatic drama, I mean, was Abe going to shake the hand of the Chinese president? How would Putin be received because of Ukraine?
And lack of jargons as well, you know, all these complicated jargons that sometimes, you know, sounds very hollow.
That his team puts in there to make him sound smart, right?
Yes,
It was a simple thing. Sarah, you're awful quiet.
I'm kind of trying to implement the saying, if you have nothing good to say, then don't say anything at all.
No, hey, we want. Say what you think, my dear.
No, I think, here's the thing. He has the ability to make us all feel really smart, which is a good thing. So that's one good thing. And the other thing is he made it very simple, you know, which is very easy to understand. It's good. It's good. So yeah, no, it's good. It's good. And he came off as, I mean, his obviously we weren't expecting, you know, very good English, but his English actually was very, very well, you know.
Expectations were low,
yeah,
kind of low, so he exceeded them.
Yeah, he exceeded them, and I think he did really well in terms of, you know, presenting his points, and that inviting, you know, the CEOs, because he was speaking, he was giving a presentation at the APEC CEO Summit, at you know, what he and his administration and his cabinet's trying to change and trying to improve.
Yeah, it was all about trade, actually. His focus was on trade and business. You know, he had several sideline meetings, and as we predicted last week, he was well briefed and prepared. Yeah, and so I said I thought I was impressed by the weight of his agenda, given the short prep time after inauguration.
Perhaps, you know, I think that's something that wasn't actually conveyed through his presentation. So as well, I think a lot of people were, what we heard from a lot of the people who came back from Beijing, they were actually quite disappointed.
In what way?
Because it was, this is what I heard, okay, it's not from me, this is what I heard. Some people were saying it was almost like a primary school presentation, which again, on the good side, as I said, it made it easier for people to understand. And it wasn't a lot of jargon, as you know, Yeni said. It wasn't jargon that you usually hear in presidential remarks.
So you're saying the other leaders already knew this kind of stuff? It was too elementary for them?
No, I'm just, no. What people were saying coming back, it was, the presentation was so simple. It was almost too simple for a presidential presentation to an audience of Asia-Pacific leaders, where, you know, you're talking about where Indonesia, you should be talking about more what they're saying. You should or President Joko Widodo should speak more about Indonesia's stance in the Asia Pacific region, more than about presenting what could be, as in, hey, come and invest in us. We're doing all this for you to come in. As in, he's selling Indonesia for which is not a bad thing, and which could work in his point of view for the CEOs to come in and invest in Indonesia. However, there needs to be balance, and I think perhaps he lacked pointing out what the growth that Indonesia has done.
Well, I think what balanced
and what needed to be done in order to have that kind of come in, but at the same time just make sure that all these things are in place so that
I think Trade Minister Ahmad Gobel was the balance, and he was impressive to me. As people might not know, he ran Panasonic here, the big Japanese electronics giant, for many years. I mean, he said the right things about politically, like we want to protect our industries but not erect trade barriers, and that's what other leaders want to hear. You don't want to be protectionist. So I think, maybe Jokowi was simple, but he presented, I think they wanted to show him as he understood business, because he's a businessman, and then leave it to his ministers and the working guys to do the nuts and bolts and do the jargon.
But I think, people's expectations of Jokowi is quite high in terms of his election. He was seen as the Asians versions of Obama. Yet, when people saw Obama and listened to his speech, they were, of course, readily impressed. So, all these head of states, all this news about they wanting to shake his hands and all that, they're quite curious about the person. So I think they've probably got some kind of expectations of the kind of, the quality of his speech. There must be something. If I were them, I probably would have thought that there must be something in him that had charmed people so much. There's some originality.
You said it wasn't his speech, but there was something else.
Well, there was some originality in his speech. But in a way, in my opinion, it lacked gravitas. Still, as a head of a
I think she jabbed it right on the point, which is what a lot of people fear. At least the intellectuals, they listen to his presentation and they feel like, OMG, this is a president of the 250 million or 240 million people, as he pointed out.
Let's give him time. It was only 2 weeks.
He was being honest.
So exactly, as I said, there are good points, but whether or not it's good enough as a leader of the fourth largest population in the world. Do we need to give him space all the time?
A little bit of a honeymoon, okay.
You know what? At least he spoke English.
This is the president of the Republic of Indonesia, the fourth biggest population in the world.
Let's grade him real quick. Overall, I give him an A for preparation and delivery. Jenny?
An 8. A or A? Oh, okay. Yeah. A minus.
Okay.
B minus.
Okay, that's pretty good.
But that's to be expected from me, so don't listen to me.
Yeah, that's better than I thought you'd give him. Hot Indo will continue shortly. Why?
Give him a C.
Why Ahok
very lenient
is the perfect person to run Jakarta? The Indonesia Channel is the country's first 24-hour English TV channel. And it's cool, offering a stylish mix of entertainment and news programs created for viewers around the world. You'll see the latest fashion trends in the world's fourth most populous country, play executive golf with host Lorraine Hahn, plus movies, dramas, and travel, all on the Indonesia Channel for the world to see.
iPod playlist is superb!
Passion for fashion, only on the Indonesia Channel.
Good shot.
Executive Golf, only on the Indonesia Channel. best of Bali, only on the Indonesia Channel.
You're watching Hot Indonesia with Yenny, Sarah, and me. Here's hot topic number 2, Go Ahok. He's been acting governor, but he's definitely been the boss. Basuki Purnama, popularly called Ahok, was installed as leader of Jakarta, but among the things he's calling for is the breakup of the hardline Islamic Defenders Front, as well as saying to civil servants, no more hotel gatherings. In other words, he's making waves. Now let's take the FPI issue first. Other leaders have been very reluctant to take them on, as we've discussed before. The very vocal, sometimes violent religious group. But Ahok has submitted paperwork to disband them formally with the ministries. And this coming after several protests against them at City Hall. But I don't think that's a cause and effect. I think maybe he might have moved anyway, even if they didn't oppose his ascension to the governorship. What do you guys think?
The recommendation letter stated very precisely that it's because of that. One of the reasons for the calling for suspension is because of that. And I think it's a wrong move. I disagree with Ahok, what he did, sending a recommendation letter for FBI to be suspended.
It should be other reasons, if anything.
It should be other reason. And he shouldn't have submitted a recommendation letter to the Home Ministry, Home Affairs Department. What he should have done is report the FBI to the police for criminal offense. That's what he should have done. Because by doing it this way, it comes across as he's trying to use his power, the state, to exercise power over FBI, and it's never right.
Yeah, freedom of speech is an issue here.
Exactly.
But if they don't threaten his life, then that's criminal.
Yes, exactly.
So he's confusing the issue, and maybe that was the wrong approach. Yeah?
Mm-hmm. I think I would agree with Yenny. I think most of us do agree with Yenny. A lot of people are, becoming very emotional about this because either they're so pro-Ahok that they're, anti-FBI, and then they're taking this personally. But we are, a country that is founded on our laws, and we need to follow the law, and at this point, we do want to make sure that it's not because of the issue of, the freedom of speech, then... He
doesn't want to stifle them. Hopefully that's
right. But
the issue itself...
Because the steps and the reason why he's submitting them, then it comes into question. But I think all of us would agree that we do want to make sure that none of, all these, ormas or, the groups... Protest groups are, going out of...
we can't ban them because.
But I've been called names. I've been called all sorts of things by the FBI because we've always been on the forefront against them. But I would never recommend it anyone for FBI to be suspended. But I would report to them, the police.
Which so, but my point was, getting back to Ahok, was he had the guts, I guess, to do something about him where other leaders have not. Okay, let's move on. On his Blusukan, the surprise visits, walkabouts to government offices, he's said, like Jokowi did, that people were sleeping on the job, the offices are nicer than his, and that many are overstaffed, people are just watching TV or sitting on the couches. I mean, he's saying the right things. That's what I want my leader to say, that this is a waste. So he's continuing the tradition of Jokowi.
Here's where he needs to have a balance. Okay, what you were going to say?
There's a big difference between him and Jokowi. Oh. They both might have said the same thing, but the way they say it's quite different.
Right.
And for a culture, this Eastern culture, especially in Javanese culture, that saving face is very important. You don't just go about and telling people.
So he's doing it the wrong way?
Yeah.
He's doing it the wrong way?
A lot of
the message is correct.
The message is what he's saying, but the way, the way. That's the point. Actually, I wanted to point is. A lot of people who are supporting him are becoming very, very disappointed in the way he's approaching things. And this is the difference between the, if we say the Western culture, professionalism, you just say it the way it is. But in the Eastern, in our country, it's still very, very, sensitive when you, for example, it's a lot more, it's wiser when you call in somebody personally and speak, eye to eye to say, hey, you're not doing this right. And, you should do this like this, instead of publicly humiliating them. And here's the thing. When you're a leader, in Jakarta, you're a governor, and it shouldn't be just about Jakarta. It's anywhere. It's about inspiring people, and it's about, when you're a leader, it's about serving the people, right? And there are certain ways of serving the people without actually putting other people down for it.
Well, I think,
Again, we agree.
Yeah,
we
okay.
agree on the message.
You know what?
There's a
You know
large
what?
block of people who love him for doing what he's doing.
Right, but
Right.
you know, he still needs, as a leader of this country, and we love him and we want him to succeed, he still needs to find a way that is efficient.
Okay, maybe there's a
for
middle
him.
ground.
Efficient,
Maybe there's a middle
efficient
ground.
for him to get his,
Yeah.
you know, his job done.
Okay, but things like he's saying, like, you know, the thing about hotels, he said no hotel events, too expensive. Have the meetings in City Hall because there are a lot of meeting rooms. I like that, saving our money.
But that's Jokowi's government's approach, not just Ahok.
He's
so.
criticizing even litter bugs. He said, I mean, I mean, simple things that we take for granted, but he's saying it, and that's where it's top-down leadership.
No, it's great when it's top-down, really leadership like that, and you know, being firm and saying it how it's supposed to be done, and really being firm on it. However, when when you're a leader of people, you need to understand you're not just a leader of certain groups of people. You need to, and there needs to be the words are social harmony. He is not creating enough social harmony that people are inspired to actually follow the rule, even though
I actually disagree with the social harmony bit, because you can create. Sometimes you need to create a social disharmony.
In order,
but you need, in order to create progress. But you need to do it in an effective way.
So maybe shake them up, like crack the whip, and then fall back a little bit.
You can't please everybody. On that I agree. You can't please everybody, but there are certain ways of doing it in order to, even when you're whipping the lash, you know, they basically go, okay, yeah, I was wrong.
Like Teddy Roosevelt used to say,
Walk
speak softly,
yep.
walk softly, and carry a big stick.
Okay, let me ask you this: if it were a Javanese Muslim saying and doing these things, would it be different?
Yes.
I mean, the fact that he's a Chinese Christian, that's the point about the FBI. They were saying that because
There's
he's
always
Christian.
a cultural context in
Yeah,
every
we
leadership
can't
role.
cover that, yeah.
So you cannot just take out the factor and just expect
I'm saying,
that
would he
things
be as
will
effective if he's saying these things, like lazy civil servants and lavish offices, and would he get better results?
If it's a Javanese Muslims,
Yeah.
yes. Unfortunately, yes.
Even if he was as brusque and as...
Yes, you know, the reason why, for that is because then people will not attack him on his ethnicity and his racial,
his race and
for his abrasive
Which is unfair because I remember a lot of people, you know, before my time talking to me about, for example, there was someone who was actually quite rude, but at that time there was no media going around with him, but he was quite a successful governor, and he Mr. Ali Sadikin, you know,
he was one of the most popular.
And he was one of the most popular, but he said the same things, and he was actually quite tough on the workers.
It shouldn't matter what race or what
but again, the media and YouTube and all that.
It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter. But you know,
But it
again,
still does.
for me, a leader needs to find a way that is effective.
Okay, maybe more middle ground.
Yeah.
All right, more hot Indo is coming up. The newest Obama buddy in Indonesia.
Just the start.
Indonesia Channel for the world to see.
iPod playlist is superb.
The Indonesia Channel is the country's first 24-hour English TV channel. And it's cool, offering a stylish mix of entertainment and news programs created for viewers around the world. You'll see the latest fashion trends in the world's fourth most populous country, play executive golf with host Lorraine Hahn, plus movies, dramas, and travel, all on the Indonesia Channel for the world to see. You're watching Hot Indonesia from Jakarta. Here's hot topic number 3, Bakso Barry. It was the anticipated first meeting of Indonesia's leader and the American president, who had spent 4 years growing up in Jakarta. Their formal summit statements were as expected, but the sideline chatter was amusing, if not significant. You know, at a post-APEC news conference, you guys heard about this, Obama reportedly asked Jokowi if his favorite fish restaurant in Puncak was still around. You know, I said it before, and I'll say it again. This kind of personal relationship, I think, helps Indonesia get to the front of the diplomatic line, because he's familiar with us, and it has to be in his mind that we're a little special.
Well, if there's no personal rapport, how do you expect that there will be a more communications? Yes, and then you know, more public policies that will be, you know, more in line between the two countries. So I would say that, you know, personal connection is very important in this day and age.
I think this was already there even from the beginning of, I still remember when Obama was President Obama was first running for presidency, and all of us, that was what we said in the beginning, that, you know what, oh, he has a great tie because he grew up part of his time here in Indonesia. And we hope. Oh, no? Okay. There you go. She's a neighbor. but that's the thing, is all of us had already put that in. Whoever the president of Indonesia would be, that
so
because President Obama had that connection, we're always hoping that that would mean a better relationship between America and Indonesia.
And it has.
And hopefully it does not mean that, you know, people taking advantage of that, you know, ties to push certain businesses that are, you know, basically not productive for our end.
Yeah, you know, and Obama also asked in Indonesian, in Bahasa Indonesia, about the macet situations getting to Puncak, right? The traffic conditions. So he knows what's going on. I mean, that's a plus. I think whatever political problems that the young, as he used to call him, Barry Obama has at home, he's still a star here, and we can claim him because he was a resident, right?
Yeah, I mean, he said things about being ngantuk, and he ate too much in Bahasa. You know, and it's just a nice gesture.
And nobody can forget the bakso, you know.
The Bakso Barry, that's what we call him.
All right, please don't call him Bakso Barry. I mean, come on, President Obama is called
I said it with affection as a fellow Hawaii guy and a fellow Jakarta guy.
Is there a stall that's called Bakso Barry?
What's that?
Is there a stall? Particular stall here?
I wonder. I think you're probably going to be inspiring
What about
people.
your food truck business?
You want to do a food truck?
One.
I was thinking of doing a food truck.
Oh, not you, right?
Oh, okay.
Sorry,
That's
it's the party for the campaign. Sorry.
Let's wait for.
I was like, food truck?
Let's wait for Obama to come back the next time. I think he'll come within the next 2 years.
Yes.
I think
you know what? We serve a spot in any shopping malls for him. You know, for his bakso stalls, and then SBY's nasi goreng.
Yep.
That'd be fun.
Who?
No, not SBY.
Okay, it is feedback time. Please let us know. Please, if you love us or you think we're jerks. Jemmy posted this on our Facebook page. I'm happy to have the Indonesia channel on UPC here in the Netherlands. Well, we're glad to be there, Jemmy. Tell your friends about us. If you have any feedback on what you've heard or would like to suggest a subject for us to address, please email us at hotindo@theindonesiachannel.com or comment through our Indonesia channel, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages. Final words, Jenny.
A couple of days ago, there was a report of a kid got electrocuted in a shopping mall, as this is Nayan. And, you know, we've seen this a case. It's just baffling for me, because it shouldn't have happened. and another violation of the lack of supervision in public facility safety issues. And I really hope that this case will not just go under the carpet and will not be resolved, because one person died unnecessarily. So it's, I'm really calling for the police to investigate this thoroughly and give a heavy sanction on the for the shopping mall organizers, or the shopping malls, so that this won't happen again.
And that's the main thing, so it won't happen again. All right, final word, Sarah.
Well, now that we're starting to work, obviously, we're starting to work in Parliament. There has been a lot of news out there that are not necessarily true. They're all trying to find out what's going on internally in the Parliament. And all I can say is, if you do have any questions about what is going on and you want to know the truth, you can always email here to ask me personally. I'm always here to answer any questions. And aside from that, now that I myself am in the Commission of Religion, Social Works, and Women Empowerment, as well as Protection of Children and Child Rights. And so realizing within just the past 3 days, 4 days, how much work we have in store for us, because we still have a lot to deal with in this country and we have a lot that we need to do. However, people need to learn the limitations that are in place, that we are here as legislatures, and when we're talking about implementation, it's a lot to do with the executive, and that means the cabinet, the ministers, the governors, the...
Don't blame her.
So what I'm not saying that, it's just we want to get your feedback so that we can do our jobs to make sure that they do their jobs, and that's our role, and hopefully that people can start to realize that everybody needs to work together in order to make this country go to where it's supposed to go.
And we're going to follow you around one day in Parliament, okay?
Yeah, you should.
All right, my final words now. My 92-year-old mother recently fell and broke her arm. Not serious, but when you're in your very golden years like she is, it's affecting everything else. Now, she's moving slower, afraid to fall again, but her mind is still mentally sharp enough to scold me when I get home late, like I'm 16. The burdens may...
I'll help her. I'll be your neighbor.
The burdens may increase as your parents get older, but the blessings they have given you are far greater. And that is Hot Indonesia for this week. For Sarah and Yenny, I'm Dalton Tanaka. See you again next week.